It's now been about a month or so since me and my family disembarked on the newest and largest cruise ship out now, Icon of the Seas, for its first paid sailing, also known as the inaugural or maiden voyage. And in this video, I'm going to give you my honest review of the entire trip, hopefully answering all your questions about the quality of the dining, which room you should get, and whether or not the expensive price tag associated with this cruise is worth it or not. Hi, I'm Marquise, and this is my new channel, MC Cruises, where I give in-depth reviews on my various cruises and give you a good idea of whether or not you should go on there or not. And if you actually want to see what I do day by day on these cruise ships, you can head over to my family channel, Them Coltons, where we post vlogs each day of the cruise that we're on. And if that interests you, there should be a link on the top of the screen right here. Icon of the Seas is a massive ship able to hold up to 10,000 guests with 20 decks and 8 separate neighborhoods weighing over 250,000 gross tons, basically making it a floating city. This ship also has the largest water park at sea with 6 water slides, their very own Central Park, and over 40 bar and dining options. And I would have to say that this probably has to be one of the most anticipated cruise ships of the year, with just about every sailing for 2024 being sold out. Even this specific sailing for the inaugural was sold out within 24 hours when released to the public. Luckily, I was able to get somewhat of a better price since I woke up early the day that it was released and snatched up a room before the prices went up just a few hours later. The morning of the cruise in Miami, Florida, me and my family dropped off our car rental with Avis, which also had an included shuttle service to the cruise terminal, taking us directly to Royal Caribbean's Miami port, located at Terminal A. And this would actually be our first time that me and my family been at this terminal since the renovation back in 2018. Our shuttle dropped us off right in front of the porters at the terminal, and the first thing we did was give them our suitcases. And they have this system that I'd never seen before, where they place our suitcases on the conveyor belt, which seemed to lead straight onto the ship. I'm pretty sure they do that on all cruise ships, but we usually never see it, and seeing it there for the first time was kind of surprising. Our check-in time was at 12, but we decided to try our luck and go in a little early at 11:30, since we knew that this was the first paid sailing and nobody was on the cruise the day before. So we thought it wouldn't be too much of a hassle to get on the ship a little earlier, since we knew they didn't have to worry about cleaning the rooms the day of. Luckily, we were right, because they let us in through with no problems, and to be honest, it was probably one of the fastest check-ins we ever experienced on the cruise. I can't say the exact time, but I know for sure it was under 15 minutes, and in all reality, it felt around 5 to 10 minutes for us to get from outside of the ship to getting onto the ship. Everything was a breeze going through the check-in process, and next thing we knew, we were on the gangway, super excited to finally embark on this trip that we had been waiting for the past year and a half. I don't know if you ever get this feeling when getting on the ship, but I like to coin it the gangway jitters, where you're just super excited going up on the gangway, going up and up, knowing you're about to have the best 3, 4, or even 14 days of your life on the cruise ship. We entered the ship on the 5th deck in the promenade, where we were greeted by crew members who were not only excited, but incredibly welcoming to everyone who came on board, creating a party-like atmosphere. In all reality, it could have just been a typical greeting that Royal Caribbean does on all its ships, but it felt more special since we were already hyped up knowing we were going to be one of the first to be on board, and their excitement just only heightened ours. Walking on the ship, we could immediately see why it was the biggest cruise ship in the world, given the vast amount of space in the promenade. And this was especially true with this huge pearl that was in the middle of the promenade, which was the first thing anybody laid eyes on when walking on board. I said it in the vlog on my family channel, but I'll say it again now. I feel like a lot of the pictures and videos that you're gonna see, even like this one right here, does not do it justice, and is way more massive when you actually get on the ship and see it for yourself. And it was crazy because the only other mega ship that we had been on was Oasis of the Seas a decade prior in 2014, and I don't even recall being this amazed seeing the width of the promenade back then. And this promenade was definitely an upgrade in size from the last Royal Caribbean ship we just took back in December on Navigator of the Seas out of Los Angeles, where the promenade was crammed with stores, leaving barely any walk space. Just from the first impressions of the promenade alone, we knew we were going to have a fantastic time on this cruise ship. We were informed by the crew members while looking at the Pearl that our rooms were already prepared for us and ready to go in. Upon arriving to our room, we also noticed that our luggage was already there as well, which is very rare on cruise ships. But again, I have to remember that no one has sailed this the day before, so I wouldn't get my hopes up if you plan on booking Icon for future date. Our room was located on deck 12 and was labeled by Royal Caribbean as the Central Park Infinite Balcony. For those unfamiliar with the concept of an infinite balcony, it's essentially a balcony window that can be opened and closed with a button, serving as part of the interior space rather than extending outside like a traditional balcony. And although this design is gaining popularity amongst other cruise lines like Celebrity, this is the first time it's been featured on a Royal Caribbean cruise. We were initially going to be in an ocean view stateroom with no balcony on deck 4 at a cost of $5,977.24, but we were offered to upgrade using the Royal Up program and put in a bid for $125 for the first 2 guests and won, bringing our price up to $6,227.24 for the Central Park Infinite Balcony room for 4 people. Yeah. I'm going to delve deeper into our experience in this room as well as the controversy over infinite balconies in a separate video. But in summary, if you enjoy people watching, this room offers an ideal vantage point with views of the lively Central Park where you're able to see live plants everywhere and people walking around, and especially at the night with the park illuminated, adding a lot of vibrancy to the cruise experience. Although this room is advertised to accommodate up to 4 people, I don't feel that it's suitable for 4 adults. While we managed to maneuver around each other, I feel like it might feel cramped if you're not close with your fellow travelers. And this is especially true with the bedding arrangements, where we assumed that there would have been a bunk bed in the cabin to accommodate my sister and I, but instead there was a sofa bed that supposedly accommodates 2 people, and it was what me and my sister had to share. Though I wouldn't say it was uncomfortable to sleep on, I felt the layout was very unconventional, with the sofa bed extending out sideways rather than vertically due to the presence of the desk in front of it. Because of this, I feel like it's not ideal for 4 adult individuals, but for a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 children, it might just work out fine for you guys. Another consideration to think about if booking a cabin near Central Park or anywhere in the middle of the ship is to think about the accessibility to the elevators from the room. Central Park is located in the middle of the ship, and we later discovered that there were no midship elevators and only those located in the forward and the aft of the ship. So if you prioritize quick access to the elevators, this room may not be the best choice for you. And while on the subject of elevators, I want to discuss Royal Caribbean's new elevator system that they implemented called destination elevators. Now, destination elevators aren't a new thing to cruises, with Carnival starting to implement them on their new cruises, but they are making their way over to Royal Caribbean. And with this new elevator system, they have these iPad-like screens in the lobby where you can select the deck you want to go to, and the system directs you to the appropriate elevator with the corresponding letter on the top of the elevator. We've used this system before on the Carnival Panorama and didn't think much of it before. However, after experiencing them on this cruise ship, we realized how much they could speed up the process, and it really helped tremendously in navigating from one deck to another. To add to this, the lobbies that house these elevators was much more larger than we were accustomed to, and they were arranged in a circular motion rather than being lined up on the walls, giving the ship an even more grander feel. Some elevators, not all, were even noticeably larger, and I feel like they use these elevators to transport large equipment, but when it's not in use for that, I feel like it's going to be really good later on when a lot more people start to come onto the ship, especially with the crowds of people that are going to be on the ships for people to come later on. I also want to mention the escalators that Icon had. In the promenade, there were escalators going from the 5th to the 4th deck where the casino is located at, and on port days, they would open up another set of escalators going down from the 4th deck to the 3rd deck. And this process made returning from the port incredibly easy, since passengers didn't have to wait for elevators to go up to the top, and instead, they could just simply use the escalators to access the promenade, which most people were headed to anyway. So I have to say kudos to Royal Caribbean for that, because it really helped out. So after settling in our room, we did some exploring of the ship, and I feel it was the best time to go over the 8 neighborhoods that the ship had to offer and our experience on each one. I'm going to go through all the neighborhoods that we visited, starting from the least to most frequent ones, starting with the Suite neighborhood. The Suite neighborhood is an exclusive area reserved for guests who book the suite and offers upscale amenities such as a private 2-story sun deck and restaurant called The Grove. And they provide plush seating with direct oceanfront views and colorful tropic decor. Around this area as well, suite guests have the access to the Coastal's Kitchen, which is an elegant suite-only dining experience for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't have much to say about this place since we never went here because, well, didn't have a suite, but I'm pretty sure it's a cool place though. The next neighborhood is the Hideaway. The Hideaway, located in the very back of the cruise ship on the top deck, is supposed to give off beach vibes with its sunbeds, and also has the very first suspended infinity pool called the Hideaway Pool. We weren't here too often, but when we were here, it was mainly for the views of the ocean whenever we left the port. I would say this area is perfect for anyone who's looking to relax, although I felt sometimes the music that the DJ played was a little too loud for you to truly relax. Leading up to the cruise, Royal Caribbean announced that they had changed this area to an adult-only zone, but honestly, it didn't seem like it was enforced too much, as I often saw a lot of teenagers walking back there without being asked to leave. It just seemed like if you were cool back there and you weren't making a fuss, they didn't really care, and I didn't notice any security guards there either. Maybe this will change later in the future, but for now, it just seemed like anybody could just go back there. One last thing worth mentioning about this area is that if you want to get a good seat on the beds or even in the Hideaway Pool, it's best to arrive a little early because things fill up really quickly. And I also heard from others that the pool was pretty small and you're likely to be around a lot of people if you go there. So just be aware of that. So next is Chill Island, which is located in the middle of the top deck. Chill Island is supposed to be like a big relaxation zone where you can hang out by the pool, listen to live music, or grab a drink. It's designed to make people who love the water to be really happy, and there's lots of pools here, including the biggest one you'll find on any cruise ship called the Royal Bay. And you can also enjoy other pools such as the Cove Pool, which has ocean views. And if you're looking for an adults only spot in this area, you can head over to the spa and pool known as Cloud 17. They also have the Swim and Tonic Bar, which happens to be the biggest swim up bar you'll find on any any cruise ship. And surprisingly, unlike the Hideaway Bar, this is not adults only, even though they serve drinks. And I heard that some people even complained about children playing in the water and splashing it into their drinks. Overall, this is a nice place to go if you want to relax, but we just weren't here this much since it seemed like we were always doing something or filming something and never had time to truly relax here. But maybe next time we go on another Icon class cruise ship, we'll be here more often. Now we're going to delve into the neighborhoods we went to the most, starting with Thrill Island, which is on the top deck towards the aft of the ship. Here's where you will find all the physically demanding attractions, including familiar ones like the rock climbing walls, a miniature golf course, and a basketball court. And then you find some new additions that Royal Caribbean added, such as the largest water park at sea, category 6, with 6 water slides, which include the Frightening Boat and the Pressure Drop for single riders, the Hurricane Hunter and the Storm Surge for groups of 2 or 4 people, and then the 2 racing slides where you can challenge a friend. One really cool detail that we noticed at category 6 were these thunder sound effects that went throughout the water park, kind of adding to the theme of being a thunderstorm, and I thought it was a really cool detail that we all noticed. Another exciting addition was the Crown's Edge, which was a ropes course situated on the side of the cruise ship along the Crown and Anchor's logo. On this miniature course, people will stand 50 feet above the ocean attached to cables, walking through a course that ends with a free fall. While other cruise lines offer similar courses like this included with the price, this one has a cost of $90, which includes gear and footage of your experience. We found this price to be a bit steep, so that's why we opted out of it. However, we later learned that they offer discounts on certain days, reducing the price to around $40 to $60. And I'm even hearing that they're lowering the price down for future cruises after finding out that it was a little too much. So keep an eye out for those deals if you're interested in trying it out at a more affordable rate. We thought Thrill Island was really fun to go to and was a great spot for all types of families to engage in activities together and spend quality time with each other. We also enjoyed the paid food option that they had there called Base Camp, which offered various finger foods. And my sister's favorite was the waffle chicken nuggets, which I initially thought were just waffles in the size of chicken nuggets, but it turned out that they were actually waffles that actually had chicken nuggets inside, which I didn't think I would like, but actually tasted really good. And additionally, they even had a milkshake spot at Thrill Island called Deserted that we kept trying to visit but never managed to go to, although it looked tempting every time we walked by it. Next is the Central Park, which is where our room was located at. Here at the Central Park, they have many dining and bar options with plenty of real trees and plants on both the floors and on the walls. And we were skeptical on whether or not these were real or not until we saw crew members watering them daily at the beginning of the day and at night, which was really nice. We love to walk through here as much as the promenade due to its atmosphere, especially at night with the lighting that they had. Central Park also had sound effects too throughout the day with birds chirping, which made it feel like you were inside a real park. And I would say if you had just woken up in the middle of it, you wouldn't even expect that you were on a cruise ship, and it actually felt like you were in the middle of a city park. The next neighborhood is the Aquadome, which is the upgraded version of the Aqua Theater found on Royal Caribbean's Oasis class ships. And unlike the outdoor setup on those ships, the Aquadome is enclosed on the front of the ship, most likely to mitigate unexpected weather conditions that could potentially cancel the show. Similar to the Aqua Theater, the Aquadome hosts aqua shows featuring high divers and swimming acrobatics. However, one notable issue I felt about this area was the lack of seating. Despite being one of the largest cruise ships in the world, it seemed like there was fewer seats compared to the Aqua Theaters on the Oasis class ships. And this was pretty apparent when guests who had reservations came about 5 minutes early and seating was already filled up and they had to stand in the back throughout the whole show. And the seating arrangement itself even felt odd, lacking back support and kind of resembling somewhat of like a school gym setup. This was definitely different from the Aqua Theater seats, which were more like stationary folding chairs with back support, and was definitely more comfortable, I felt. Also in the Aquadome behind the theater was this area called the Overlook, which featured illuminated seating pods offering stunning views of the ocean in the day and at night. It was perfect for enjoying sunsets and sunrises, and we loved visiting, especially at night, seeing how colorful the pods were and the inclusion of aquatic life in the walls adding to the ambience. The Aquadome also features the Aquadome Market, offering 5 food stands with various menu options for quick bites, with my favorite being the Feta Mediterranean, which became my new favorite thing to eat on the cruise ship once I tried it for the first time on a port day. Also located in the Aquadome is Hook Seafood, which makes sense given its seafood theme and the abundance of water theme elements in the Aquadome. The sixth and next neighborhood is Surfside, which is located on the open lower deck on the back of the ship. And on previous Oasis ships, this area was famously known as the Boardwalk, featuring attractions like giant dry slides and horse carousels, giving off a carnival or beach pier vibe. With Surfside, you could definitely see it's geared more towards kids, with the inclusion of Splashaway Bay for toddlers to play in the water, and they made the carousel a little more kid friendly with the various colorful characters for the kids to enjoy. There were even special days for kids where they were able to do rotation of activities such as getting their faces painted and even try different things like archery lessons, which even I went over and tried. With the creation of Icon, the focus was definitely shifted towards families, and this definitely showed with the addition of Surfside, as it was very family oriented, and they even implemented new rooms such as the Surfside Family Suite, which had a setup up similar to our room, but had an additional area for children. This area included bunk beds and TVs for each child in each bed. And with these rooms offer views of Surfside and the ocean towards the back of the ship. Even with this area being very kid friendly, we found ourselves back here quite often for the views of the ship, as well as the different eateries that they had, like Surfside Eatery and Surfside Bites, which were both included, and Pier 7, which wasn't included, but was an all-day brunch that we tried on Sea Day, which to be honest wasn't the best selection of items, but I really liked their fish tacos there. And one of the other cool things that they had back here was this cool dry slide that a bunch of kids were going down, and even adults as well, like my mom, who tried it on the first day but got scared to go down it because she thought it looked too steep. I even went on it too, and I would have to say, if you were to get on that slide, just make sure that you wear jeans and possibly even a long sleeve shirt, because you would get a rug burn very easily if you don't. And I even got one on my arm on like the last day, and it still hurts even till this day. And the seventh and last neighborhood is the Royal Promenade, which we were definitely here the most. They had a bunch of events and activities that happened here, and there was plenty of bars and entertainment for everybody to go to. We would find ourselves a lot at spots like the karaoke bar, known as Spotlight Karaoke, as well as the dueling pianos, where we were able to listen to two master pianists going at it with renditions of songs that people would request. In the promenades, they would have big events such as the parade, which had to do with pirates, and they even had parties such as the One Hit Wonders night, where the cruise director would come out with the crew members and we would all dance and sing the One Hit Wonders. And at the end of every night, we always ended with some Sorrento's pizza in the promenade, which I haven't had since Oasis of the Seas back in 2014. And I remember liking it so much back then, but was kind of surprised to see that the taste wasn't as good as what I remembered. Not that it was bad this time, but I definitely remember it tasting a lot better back in the day. And I feel like some of the ingredients might have changed over the 10 years that I haven't tried it out. And speaking of food, my quick thoughts on the food on the cruise ship was that none of the food was very special compared to other Royal Caribbean ships, especially with the main dining room menus being the same as all the other cruise ships in the fleet. I felt the Windjammer was mediocre as usual, except for the first day where they gave out steak and seafood, which I believe is a tradition that they do for special events such as inaugural sailings. So I wouldn't expect it to be on your cruise, but that was really good though. And like most cruise ships, I feel like the restaurants where you could go get a quick bite of food were the real go-to spots, with our favorites being the Pearl Cafe, where you could get quick bites to eat such as toasted sandwiches, ready-made salads, and sweet treats, as well as desserts that you could get at night, which we definitely did after getting a slice of pizza at Sorrento's. And like previously stated, we really enjoyed the Aquadome Market, which had 5 different food stands, including Ginger, which had Asian food, Max, which was a variety of macaroni and cheeses, Feta Mediterranean, which offered a create-your-own style Mediterranean food stand, Toast and Garden, which had fresh sandwiches served with a choice of salads, and lastly, Crema de la Crepe, which gave out specific crepes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or dessert. There were so many food options, both new and old, that I feel like anyone could enjoy at least one of them and find their favorite one for the whole cruise. Also throughout the cruise, we had an ultimate dining package for the first time, where we were able to try a majority of the paid dining options. I'm gonna make a separate video going in depth on which ones we went to and which ones we liked and disliked, and let you know whether or not you would probably like it too. And if that's out by now, it should be on the top of the screen right here. So in wrapping up this video and summarizing my experience of the cruise, I must say I thoroughly enjoyed this cruise ship, and honestly I believe most people would as well. And while it's primarily advertised and geared towards families, I feel there's plenty to do for individuals of all ages. One of the common questions that I know is going to arise from this ship, and has kind of been asked a lot, is whether or not the ship is too big. And for the most part, I would say yes. Whether this is a negative or positive really depends on your perspective. But personally, the size of the ship is what made it exciting day by day, figuring out what you're going to do and see next. Me and my family agree that this was one of the first cruises where we barely looked at the cruise planner for activities and really just went with the flow. And even in doing this, we were still busy with numerous of activities on board. If I did have a negative pertaining the size of the ship, it would be that you would need more than 7 days to visit everything on this cruise ship. With so much to do on the ship, I feel like there's no way for you to fully enjoy everything you want on the ship in just a week. And you would definitely need more time if you really want to go and enjoy every single thing. Another common question that might arise is whether or not the ship is too crowded. And for our specific cruise, it wasn't. But I am concerned about those cruising later on. Because when I was talking with another content creator, JT from Cruising with JT, he said that our current cruise was only at 70% capacity, and that Royal Caribbean intentionally stopped people from booking more rooms so that they could, I guess, practice at a lower capacity and gradually work their way up to full capacity in the later months. And this makes sense, as the ship never felt like it was sold out like it was advertised until it came to the shows at certain venues. Like I said earlier about the Aquadome being too small, I felt many of the other venues were also too small as well, and seats would get filled up very quickly around 30 minutes before the show would even start. And many people that reserved the show would find themselves standing or even leaving the show since there was no seats available. And if this happened on our cruise that was at 70%, I'm concerned for the future cruises that would eventually be at full capacity. And I feel the last question I feel that is definitely going to be asked is whether or not these expensive prices that have been shown online for the cruise is worth it or not. And to be honest, I would have to say not really. Don't get me wrong, we really enjoyed ourselves on the cruise and it's a trip that we're going to remember forever. But when prices for an interior room cost this much, when the previously largest cruise ship in the world costs this much, I would truly recommend for those who are debating whether or not to spend the money to just wait about a year or so for when the prices go down. Or you can just wait when the new cruise ship Star of the Seas comes out in 2025. Which reminds me of a funny thing that happened once we got off the cruise ship. Leaving the terminal was this really huge banner that says Star of the Seas 2025. And it just made me remember that Royal Caribbean is really good at advertising. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for the review. I hope you guys enjoyed and I hope it gave you guys a better sense of whether or not this cruise ship is for you or not. And if you've been on this cruise ship already, maybe you guys agreed or disagreed with my thoughts on the cruise. But whatever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. And again, if you guys like this video, make sure to click that like button. If you guys want to watch more videos, click that subscribe button. And I hope to see you guys next time on MC Cruises. Peace.